T40, torque to 15 foot-pounds. You know, they really ought to invent an RTV that isn't so hard to push on to get it out. All right, now one thing I just want to point out to you guys, I did not take a video of me replacing the rear main seal, and that's because I didn't yet. You have to take the engine off of the stand to replace the rear main seal, and right now it's still on the stand. Once I take it off with the engine hoist, I'll put the new one in. Just be very careful. Don't use a flat blade screwdriver. Use something with a blunt edge, because I have pierced rear main seals in the past, and it's just not a mistake that you guys are going to want to do. I mean, a Felpro rear main is about 20 bucks, so that's a little bit of an expensive mistake. And then another thing that I just want to bring to your attention real quick, behind the front tensioner, right there, there's a it's a 1/8 NPT. It's like a T27 Torx. Now behind it is a rod, and what the rod does is it restricts the flow of oil to the top cylinder head. It's supposed to prevent the timing rattle, something like that. Ford put it in. The old one that comes out is brown, and some timing chain kits you might get a new one and they're yellow. Just put it in, and in my case I got one and it came with a new 1/8 NPT plug. Just put the rod in and put the plug back in, and then you'll be good to go. I also didn't take a video of me priming the tensioners, and that's because honestly the engine's going to be on a stand for about another month, and with the tension of the valve springs against the timing tensioner itself, it's just going to push the oil right back out of it. So I didn't even bother priming the tensioners. I'm just going to crank the engine over, or whoever I sell it to is just going to have to crank the engine over. And then I just, I'm giving you a couple of tips here. Let's see. Okay, on the timing cover, I like to do the oil pan bolts first because it pulls it down against the gasket, and then you tighten it against the block and it'll squeeze. And you can see the RTV squeezing out a little bit. Again, that's a highly debatable subject. I like to use just a little bit because the water galley, I don't want water getting into the oil. Just trying to think if there's anything else. I don't really think. Just make sure you guys use a lot of assembly lube. The cams, roller followers, chains. I pour it on a chain and then I crank the engine over so that the chain pulls it down, and then you just keep adding more. Assembly lube isn't expensive and you don't want any dry starts. And the same thing goes for that oil pump. Make sure you get enough assembly lube in the oil pump. That's it, really. I can't really think of anything else, except that personally I use stainless steel hardware for the exhaust manifolds. The old ones rust. I know on some 4th gens they snap off, so I use stainless, but that's up to you guys. You can just reuse the old hardware. But that's it. Listen, if you guys have any questions, feel free to just comment below. I'll help everybody. I have all the torque specs. I have the manuals, everything from Ford. So if you guys want to know anything, just keep in touch.